Morning. Not a whole lot to report this week. A lot of subby work. So we've had the roofers in, we've had scaffold lowered, the sparkies have made a start, but it looks like they've still got a bit more to do. Our bit today is going to be chucking up the Soffits. So we'll do a couple of hyperlapses of those, how we get set up, what the process is. Actually, I'll show you. So what we're doing, we've got these sheets here, which is just 4.5mm fibre cement board, which I'm knocking over. And we've got to get that up here, which forms our eaves lining. So, and what we're going to be doing, I'll just zoom out, what we're going to be doing is we've got this little groove here, which our board's going to slot into, and then we've got our Soffit nogs, or our sprockets, coming off our truss tails. So they're roughly at 900 centres. And then we've got our ribbon board, which is our solid timber that's going to run all the way around our building. So the only bit that's going to change is under this carport, which still needs nogging out, so we won't do that today. But one of the first things we want to do, which we always seem to forget to do, well, we don't, but people do, is just go around and mark where our sprockets are. Otherwise, when we come to nail up the centres of our sheets, we're not going to know where our timber is. So that's generally enough. So the process you'll see in the next video is we take that sheet, we sort of put the edge of it in the groove first, find our groove, and then we'll put it up. We'll get some nails in the ribbon board, and then we'll just use our tape. We'll measure off the fascia. We're 600 wide sheets, so we'll find the centre at 300, and we'll chuck a nail on that line and 300 off the fascia, and then all our nail lines will be nice and central all the way down. So if, like me, you're sad and you look at if people's nails line up or not, they'll all line up real nice, which is, yeah, little things that we think are important. 99% of the population could not care less, but if you're in the trades, you know what I'm talking about. Little things like that will really grind your gears. So we'll crack on, we'll set a camera up, and hopefully someone learns something. So I've just pulled a couple of braces off and realised I didn't film it, so opportunity for another video. Just a quick one. So these blocks on the ground that you can see are these blocks here. And that's our braces, which are holding our walls straight. So there's a couple of different types of braces. Well, it's the same brace, but it's doing a slightly different job, I guess. So braces running in line with the wall, e.g. this one, that's helping hold our corner plumb. So that corner there and that corner there, really this wall only would need one brace on, but when we stood this, we didn't have our beam up the top, so we've plumbed these corners independently, which is why there's two braces on this wall. Because the top plate wasn't complete at the time, so I guess I've started on a bad wall, really, haven't I? This wall here is probably a better example. So when we stand the frames, that bottom plate is complete. We cut those out after we stand the frames. It just makes it easier. It means that the bottom of the wall measures the same as the top of the wall. Everything's parallel. So with everything being parallel, it stands to reason that if Justin's climbing through a window It stands to reason that if we've got a brace at one end of the wall and we've got a continuous bottom plate on the bottom and a continuous top plate on the top, and the distance on the top plate and the bottom plate is the same, so that corner is parallel to that corner. If we plumb that corner should also be plumb. So one brace plumbs that corner on this wall. Then we need another brace on this wall to plumb the corner in the other direction. So two braces, that corner's plumb. So when we're bracing, it doesn't matter what corner you start with really, but generally you're going to start with your corners. So we get that corner plumb, we get that corner plumb, and then what we've got to do is get that wall straight between those 2 points. So we've got a fixed point because it's braced, we've got a fixed point because it's braced, then we're going to run a string line along the top of the wall. We know the bottom of the wall's straight because we've already put a string line on that and nailed it down. So put a string line across the top of the wall, and then we're going to run braces off of these intermittent walls. So we've got a brace on here, there's a brace on here. If longer walls, we'll put braces in the middle of the room if they're needed, just down to a block on the floor. This wall was pretty straight obviously, so we didn't need that. And then generally you just repeat that process around the whole house. Obviously you've got to get your two ends right first, because you can't straighten anything until you've got both ends of the thing plumb, or if not plumb, where you want them to be. Generally plumb. That's what we're looking for in this instance. So once you've got those points, you can throw your line up. Any intermittent walls, we put them on the intermittent walls because then we're not tripping over them. It keeps the floor area clear for us to walk around. So it is something you want to be conscious of. Obviously this lounge area, there aren't any intermittent walls because it's a bigger space, but we still have to brace the wall and hold it straight until we get our roof on, hence why we've got a brace in the middle of this wall. Our bay windows, there's a bit more going on with these because we've got a couple of jut outs. So where are we? We had a bit of work to do with these studs, which is why our brace isn't on there, but we've got a brace bracing that part. We've got a brace there bracing this end of the wall because, as I said, that beam wasn't in. So they're straightening that. That end brace is just holding the corner plumb because our string line still needs to go from that point all the way to that point, even though our beam wasn't in. So there's a lot of braces going on in this area because we've had to repeat the same thing in this area. So we've got one brace holding our corner, brace holding our join straight, brace holding our join straight, our intermittent wall. There was a brace on that intermittent wall, but we've removed it. And there's our brace holding this wall plumb, holding our corner plumb. But again, this beam wasn't in when we stood the frame, so that corner was plumbed independently of that corner. So, but they're both spot on. So that's my rant about bracing. But basically, now that the roof is on, especially being a hip roof, which means we've got lots of nice diagonals happening through the roof, and obviously our roofing iron all being screwed down acts as one massive diaphragm brace. Now that the roof is on and screwed down, a lot of the braces for the straightening of the house and the internal walls don't need to be up. So that's why I've pulled those two off this morning, because now all our trusses and our roofing screwed off, the walls can't move for straight. In fact, the only thing the house can do is that, in theory, until we get the proper wall bracing and our cladding on. So in the very least, we want to leave a brace on each wall holding our corners. Now this wall, now that the beam is through the top, we only need one brace on this wall. we can leave the 2 on there because it's not in the way. But any of these ones that are in the middle of the floor that are in the way, we can pull those braces off now and give us a bit clearer space to work in. But yeah, once your roof is on, most of your braces can come off. I like to leave a brace for each of our outside corners, just in the very unlikely event that the house can do that. And it's more a theory than I've never actually seen it happen, but and some people do take all of their braces. I like to leave one in each corner, and then there's no way that it can move. We get the cladding on, which acts as another brace. That braces the whole of the outside of the building, and then we can pull those internal braces off, and then we're ready for insulation and jib. And yeah, we know nothing has moved and nothing can move. So nice solid house, nice and plumb, nice and straight, and all the bits that we want. So yeah. Right, so all our sheets are laid out. We've got pre-cut jointers. All the way around. All our sprockets are marked. We've already framed this for fixing before the roof went on, because that can be an absolute nightmare if you don't catch that one, because you'll never fit a nail gun in there to get nogs in. So you've got to be thinking ahead all the time. But yeah, so we're all ready to go. We'll set our camera up and we'll hook into it. You notice we're not using tapes to mark our nailing on our sprockets. We're actually, my hammer from way back when has got a 300mm mark. I've just taken a nick out of the shank just with a grinder from the handle, because 300's fairly common, and it just saves you getting the tape out. So it's a case of butt your hammer into the fascia, handle first, line the nail up with your mark, and crack it in there. And I think at the start of the video, I marked Justin's hammer the same, because yeah, his hammer doesn't look like that. So shortly you'll see a corner sheet where both the short sides of the sheet are going into some sort of groove. Obviously you can't put the long side into the main fascia groove first and then slide it up like we have all these other sheets. This sheet here, this corner sheet. So what we'll do, we'll bend the sheet down in the middle and get both the short sides in first, and then it's possible to bar it off the building to slide it the long side of the sheet into the fascia groove, and then that can be nailed up. So you just got to be pretty accurate with your measurements on those ones. They go up pretty quick usually. They can be a bit of fun when you've got gables and split gables, and we've got the covered area as well under the carport coming up. It's not in this video, it's in another video, but same process. Get it in the jointer first, or get your long side up first, and then push your short side in, get some nails in it. The sheets aren't very heavy, they are quite bendy, reasonably forgiving, but if you push them too far, they can and will snap. I don't think we had any snap on us on this one. They did get a little bit wet on the trailer, which it makes them a bit bendier than they usually are. They normally hold their shape pretty well. Two of yous, one person can put a full sheet up. It's quite fiddly, but you can do it. It's a lot easier with two people. Last couple of sheets going on to the other side of our carport, and that's the house complete. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks again for watching.